Hey all, Siege here, and today I wanted to dive into another theory regarding probably the most interesting possibility moving forward with the new war. One that, in my opinion, gained legitimacy specifically during the era cutscene in Warframe's 3-part New War miniseries. Up to this point, we've really only talked about how the Void affect the Tenno and how it appears to manifest, either as a vision visible only to themselves, or potentially an actual doppelganger that commands some kind of presence, be it physical or ethereal. And while the consequences of either option are obviously concerning, what's really baking my noodle today is its effect on other entities. See, I think there can be an argument made regarding the level of influence the Void has over other characters, such as Ballas, Era, or even over the hierarchy of the Orokin as a whole, potentially even within their Honored Seven. And I don't think there can be any doubt that if nothing else, the Void has definitely touched the Lotus or Nata, and I want to go over the potential repercussions of that. This is something I went over briefly in a previous video, but I wanted to flesh out the concept here because as I see it, the Lotus being controlled would appear to be a much more damning reality than even the Tenno. Why? Well, I think the Lotus is being built up as the key to the entire Warframe universe, and that somehow her powers are unique and apparently necessary for the sentience to organize effectively, something Era or whoever this individual actually is makes mention of when thrusting the Lotus against the conduit thing here. Her quote-unquote voice is an ability that apparently only she and the mother figure we have yet to be formally introduced to possess, but from using the context clues given, might be able to not only call the sentience, but the Tenno as well. And being able to potentially control or at least influence both sides would obviously be a huge advantage in the overall war. I don't think this has gone unnoticed by Nata's companions either, and in theory, everything in the new war could just be a mad dash for the Lotus's power. One that would have multiple factions gunning for it if they knew its potential. To become as gods, if you will. The sentience revered, obviously, but the Orokin would probably want their hands on it as well, not to mention the Corpus, or even the Grineer, don't you think? Maybe this corresponds to the coup we see at the end of the New War prologue. And while this presents an alarming possibility, the more concerning for me is the other possibility. What if even the Lotus can be controlled by the Void, or worse? What if Nata also has a doppelganger? First, I want to show what I feel are the most compelling pieces of evidence for this, and then we'll discuss what it all could mean. For me, there are two very specific things that greatly insinuate at least there could, in fact, be a woman in the wall. The first is the dialogue during the Rope Below List fight.
Our history is smoke, blurred by dreams, guided by ghosts. A voice, a void, lurks inside you. Its purpose not yet shown. Your great power, your great evil. The voice, the void within you. Our ancients still wither at its touch. But have you forgotten, Lua? You were saved. But I was changed. We suffer these testaments of Tenno evil. Their voice and void. Suffer it well, ancient child.
I think it's important to point out that just because she states that the Void is in us doesn't necessarily mean it hasn't infected others as well, only that she believes it originated with the Tenno. Although it is quite puzzling that she seems unaware of this Void evil in the Chains of Harrow quest, and yet during the scene in Era with the Tenno, it's clear the Man in the Wall's influence is present. Regardless, we know definitively that she is aware of whatever the voice in the Void is, and it's pretty much accepted that this is the same as our understanding of whatever the Doppelganger is to the Tenno. As we delve deeper into the story of Warframe, it's becoming clearer to me that whatever the Void touches seems to leave some kind of mark upon it, be it the Sentience, the Tenno, the Orokin, and even the Cephalons. Given this information, I think it's imperative to look at the Era Quest segment of the New War again and acknowledge both the fact that all the children are under some kind of control here, almost hive mind in nature, and sure enough, even the Lotus seems to be under influence, shown by the red hue emanating from her visor. Is she controlling all of the Tenno right here to do what she wants? Personally, I'd say it's highly unlikely, given that all of them are showing doppelganger eyes, which would mean the Man in the Wall is in control if the scene at the end of the War Within is to be believed. And if you remove the possibility that she is in control here, that really only leaves one other possibility. That she's not. She's not controlling the Tenno. She's probably not in control of herself either. And to me, that's a real problem because the Tenno up to this point have been basically doing the will of the Lotus. Many people have asked what exactly are the motivations behind what the Tenno were being instructed to do prior to the Lotus being taken by Ballast. All the different missions we have across the star chart, in that we seem to be against every faction. And when you consider that this scene would have taken place years before our awakening at the beginning of the actual game, I think you have to accept the fact that the Lotus may not have always been in control of what we were doing all that time, a concept that would match up with the seemingly us against the entire solar system mentality we've been led to believe existed. Think about it. The Tenno are like the police of the Warframe universe, and yet, I have to ask, who exactly are they protecting with any consistency? Their loyalties float around from mission to mission, acting more like mercenaries than anything else. And whereas I think a mercenary with a specific altruistic goal is at least something positive, a mercenary without a moral compass, or at least one being led by an entity with multiple personalities pulling on it with different endgames in mind, is just a murderer, pure and simple. But I think it's at least starting to paint the picture as to why certain things are unfolding in the game. If Nata does possess some kind of unique ability, as she seems to amongst the sentients and potentially the Tenno, compromising her would be the best way to facilitate a convergence amongst the power vacuum in the system, quickly and efficiently. After all, what force stands to challenge the power of the sentients and the Tenno if they were made to work together? Something that could be, in fact, going on behind the scenes. Conversely, this could also be the reason why we see the Tenno being persuaded to kill Nata, or at least see her as a potential enemy. If you subscribe to the theory that Ballast is pulling the strings, having a confrontation between the Tenno and Lotus could potentially end up with Nata killing us all, something that would greatly benefit any force in the universe bent on control. Although their focus is pretty widespread, the Tenno represent the only legitimate group in Warframe fighting for good, at least as they perceive it. Remove them from the board, and you essentially have the Wild West all over again, with ultimate power up for grabs. And it's no secret how at least Ballast feels about us.
But do not underestimate these devils, Hunho. They did what we could not. We had created monsters we couldn't control.
Before leaving and even during the end of the sacrifice, Nata does still seem to have feelings for the Tenno, but in later iterations, most notably in the Ropalolis fight, she definitely holds an animosity towards us, and potentially the Void as well. Could she be aware of its sway on her? I think it's becoming clear now how often it's trying to confuse us, if nothing else. Maybe she's seen the light as well, and feels the death of the Tenno is the way out of that. It's tough to say, and with the very paradox being held back until at least 2021, I'm not sure the answers are coming in the very near future. My hope is that Dee decides to sprinkle in bits of lore akin to the new war prologue along the way, but I suppose we'll just see. That being said, there's still plenty to speculate on, so the quest for truth continues on. But what do you think? Could the Lotus be a pawn in this game at the same level we are? Is she the key to everything? Time will tell, but in the meantime, we'll keep discussing. Oh, and before you give me any shit about the music in the video, just know that I'm going to be using music from different games from now on because I'm kind of sick of putting the same music in my videos over and over and over again. So we're going to switch it up periodically. Variety is the spice of life, you know? At any rate, hope you enjoyed the video today. Hope you have a wonderful day today, a wonderful rest of your week. Try to be mindful of your actions, as they could have consequences far exceeding anything you could have possibly envisioned. And I'll talk at you all in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye.